This is a CBS News special report. From CBS News in New York, here is Dan Rather.
Pakistani commandos stormed a hijacked PanAm jumbo jet this afternoon. It was the jet carrying about 400 people. When we say this afternoon, we mean this afternoon New York time. It was just before midnight Pakistani time. The storming by the commandos happened after the hijackers of the plane had opened fire on the ground. The latest report is that at least dozens of people were left wounded and about 15 persons dead in a withering hail of automatic weapons fire. This according to witnesses. One hijacker apparently was killed, one wounded, and two others were captured, according to the witnesses. Now, CBS News correspondent Hustling John Sheehan is now at the airport in Karachi. John, are you hearing me, and what is the situation?
Dan, I've seen the plane. It's still out on the tarmac, and there are two versions of what happened in the attack. One of them is that the police stormed the plane. The other is that the Army stormed the plane with a band of commandos. There was a lot of gunfire. I'm told reliably that at least 26 people have been wounded. Mr. G.K. Shah of Pakistani Customs talks about several dead, and many have been taken to different hospitals in Karachi, so it's going to be very, very difficult to get a precise number of the wounded or dead. Some of the survivors, the passengers and crew, have been taken to one of the terminal buildings here, and there are plans, I think, to take them into the city of Karachi. The airport is in pandemonium. You can imagine that there's a high premium on telephones, and it's very hard to get accurate information at this time, except that the plane has been stormed, and there are dead and there are wounded.
John, we recognize the difficult circumstances under which you're reporting there, but as best you can determine, after being held for roughly 16, 17 hours, gunfire erupted on the plane. So far as you can determine, what happened?
Well, it depends on whose version you believe. In any case, armed Pakistani authorities went into the plane, and they were met by a withering hail of gunfire. There's no way of telling at this point who did most of the shooting.
John, is there any question at the airport now that this is over and finished?
No, it is over and done with. The early report here at the airport was that a couple of the hijackers were still in the plane. That now appears to have been resolved, that all the hijackers have been captured.
John, have you been able to talk to any eyewitnesses as to what happened?
I talked with eyewitnesses here at the airport who described the storming of the plane, but it was at such a distance from them on the tarmac they could not see precisely which forces actually got into the plane.
John, I know that there's a pressure on you on that telephone. If you can listen very quickly as I run down what we believe we know, taking all sources into consideration here at this hour, and if you hear anything you believe to be untrue, please interrupt. This won't take but a few seconds. That the Pakistani commandos, the best available information is that they were Pakistani military security forces, stormed the hijacked plane after the hijackers had opened fire in the plane. One of the witnesses, in fact, several of the witnesses, indicated the hijackers had thrown grenades inside the airplane, but the grenades did not go off. At least one American had been killed by the hijackers before the main gunfire occurred. That American was Rajesh Kumar, the 29-year-old recently made an American from Huntington Beach, California. He had come to this country from Kenya in 1980. Now, the three-man cockpit crew of the plane had escaped through an escape hatch in the early going of the takeover. We know they were wounded. There are various reports about how many people were wounded. Now, the early reports were, and in fact continue to be, that there were possibly as many as 100 persons wounded in the gunfire. Keep in mind there were 350 to 400 people total aboard the plane. Some 40-some-odd were believed to have been Americans. One American killed early. So of those on the plane, there have been various reports of possibly as many as 100 wounded. The latest wire reports seem to be in agreement that there are about 15 people dead. Now, John Sheehan, can you confirm the deaths of any hostages?
G.K. Shah of the Pakistani Customs used the figure of possibly 100 wounded. I talked with an eyewitness who used the figure 26 and said that 26 had been counted as they left the may be more than that. A precise figure on dead is not available at this time. But in the pandemonium here at the Karachi airport, people are already asking how those hijackers got onto the plane. This is an airport that had the reputation for having extremely tight security after a number of hijackings in this country. And there are going to be some hard questions asked. They're already being asked. And everyone I've talked with reminds that in Pakistan, the penalty for hijacking is death.
John Sheehan, CBS News correspondent at the airport in Karachi, Pakistan. Now, if you see some pictures coming up here in a moment, this will be a repeat of pictures. The first pictures television pictures we've had from Pakistan of scenes, night scenes at the airport. A PanAm spokesman in New York said the gunfire this afternoon, New York time, first erupted aboard the plane when some of the passengers apparently attempted to escape from the jet. One of the directors of civil aviation in Pakistan said that the gunmen dressed in airport security uniforms had stormed on the plane as the last of the passengers joining the flight were boarding. That was about 9:30 last night when the plane was first hijacked. These scenes are from the Karachi airport tonight, early in the morning, early Saturday morning time, Pakistani time. It appears to be all over now. It is very difficult to tell how many people have been wounded and how many dead. The best available information is possibly as many as 100 people were wounded in this and about 15 people dead. The 15 dead would be those killed in the most recent gunfire. That's in addition to the one American known to have been killed earlier before the main part of the gunfire erupted. Dan Rather with John Sheehan for CBS News. We'll keep you posted as the day goes along. Complete details tonight on the CBS Evening News.
This has been a CBS News special report.